Okay, well, with these recognitions from the Western states of a Palestinian state, there is some hope, but also some skepticism, both in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. For more on that, we turn to CBC's senior news correspondent, Saša Petricic, who's joining us from Ramallah in the West Bank. So, Saša, absolutely, we'll get to the Israeli reaction in just a moment, but I just wonder, immediately from Palestinians that you're speaking to, what are they saying to all of this?
Well, Natasha, as you can imagine, there is a wide range of opinion in a place like this, in this corner of what has now been officially recognized by Canada, Britain, and Australia as Palestine. And people are really ranging from optimism, you say, to skepticism, and both of them are very, very strong here on the streets of Ramallah, one of the major cities in the occupied West Bank. As they hear this, they've heard, or they feel they've heard some of these promises before. They think, many of them, that it's too little, too late, but others do see it as a bit of a glimmer of hope amidst really what's been a very horrible 2 years. This is what they were saying to me earlier today here on the streets of Ramallah.
We've been here, they're here. Two-state solution is the only thing could have peace in this country.
So me personally, I think words as we're gonna recognize a Palestinian state just seems more as a talk than actual things on the ground where we're gonna see a change.
This is at the beginning. They give us chance because both of us, we don't trust each other. I'm sure the Israeli, they don't trust the Palestinian. It's like the Palestinian, they don't trust.
Now, people here have had a great deal of turbulence over those 2 years here in the occupied West Bank. They have had violent clashes with Israeli settlers here. They have also had confrontations with the Israeli military. So it's been a tough time here, but nothing like what's been going on in Gaza. Today, many people were streaming south, trying to get out of Gaza City as the Israeli military ground operation has only intensified. And those people were not immediately thinking about this declaration of statehood, but when asked, this is what they had to say.
بيعملوا فينا اليهود ما بعتقدش 1% انه يغير من الواقع اللي احنا عايشينه. ما بتغيرش واقع. مين بده يعوضنا دورنا؟ مين بده يعوضنا اولادنا؟ مين بده يعوضنا حياتنا؟ سنتين من عمرنا هدول راحوا، احنا خطيرنا من بدري من شفنا من اليهود.
اليوم بقول لك بعترف بفلسطين وبعطي قطع غيار الطيارات لمين؟ لاسرائيل. بعترف بفلسطين وبعطي قطع غيار وقطع سفن حربيه لمين؟ لاسرائيل. بعترف بفلسطين وبعطي طيارات زنان وبعطي الطيارات الاستكشاف لمين؟ لاسرائيل. يا زلمه بقول له هيك بقول له هيك.
Now, this declaration by Canada in particular imposes certain obligations on the Palestinian Authority, the government here in the occupied West Bank, such as committing to elections in 2026, such as demilitarizing, those kinds of things that they have apparently committed to. However, beyond that, they answered today to this idea that has been expressed by many of these people that we just heard from, that this is somehow imaginary, that this is somehow abstract, and that it doesn't mean much to people's daily lives. This is what the foreign minister had to say here today.
This recognition is certainly not symbolic. It is a practical, tangible, irreversible step that countries must take if they are invested in preserving the two-state solution. This also sends a very clear message of hope to the Palestinian people who are facing an existential threat.
So, that tone really does hold in it a certain amount of satisfaction and joy that I have also heard expressed here on the streets. But, over the time that I have spent in the occupied West Bank over the past years, there is nothing more fulfilling for many people than that kind of recognition internationally, and this is considered a major step.
So that naturally brings us to the issue of Israel and how Israel is responding today.
Well, there's the official response from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We have heard that today in a number of different forms. He has been quite blunt. He has said that this means that there will be no Palestinian state. A Palestinian state will not be established west of the Jordan. In other words, Israel has decided that its official policy is no Palestinian state anywhere in the future, which is a pretty sharp departure from what it's been saying really since it was established in 1948. Netanyahu did have a statement that he put out that was in Hebrew, and this is what he said. He said, we will have to fight both at the UN and in all other arenas against the false propaganda, this statement that came from Canada and Britain today, this false propaganda directed at us and the calls to establish a Palestinian state, which would endanger our existence and constitute an absurd reward for terrorism. Now, there's a lot of pressure on Netanyahu by the hardline members of his own coalition government. Many of them are considered extremists here in Israel, extremist settler leaders. There's a lot of pressure now to unilaterally declare that Israel is annexing the entire occupied West Bank, that it is simply going to take all of it with them. We've heard that from a couple of his ministers and from the main organization that represents settlers here. They're demanding a meeting so that they can go ahead with that kind of immediate annexation. That's what they've been pushing for these whole 2 years, and they see this as an opportunity. Whether we get that kind of statement from Netanyahu himself, we don't know, because he has also said that the response to this attempt to impose a terror state on us, the declaration today, will come after my visit to the U.S. In other words, you have to wait. This could come next week sometime when Netanyahu comes back from the UN and, perhaps more importantly, from his consultations with U.S. President Donald Trump.